made a comment to my ex-husband when we signed our divorce papers, and his girlfriend now accuses me of being the reason he didn't propose to her on Christmas. My ex-husband and I are both late 40s. We're a real love story for 17 years. He was my world and I loved everything about him. I thought he loved me too, but about 2 years ago, for about 2 months, he was changed. That change was so palpable that I knew in my heart that it was another woman. He stopped kissing me good morning or good night, stopped asking me on dates, and always declined when I did. He didn't doze off with his head in my lap to a movie every evening, always missing the end. Now he sat on the other couch. He stopped saying he loved me, and he stopped texting me during the day. I didn't know what to do other than wait and see, and sure enough, after 2 months, he told me that he was in love and wanted a divorce. I was heartbroken, but I couldn't do anything about it. I would never beg someone to love me no matter how much I love them. He moved out and started the divorce process. His new girlfriend, early 30s, moved in with him not long after. My ex-husband is very successful and our divorce was finalized a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen my ex-husband much since he moved out. I don't know what's gotten into me. I have kept civil and prideful during the separation. I was surprised that he was with his lawyer because I thought he just signed and didn't need to be there. I signed and then looked at him for the first time in 2 years, and just without giving myself the time to stop and keep my dignity, I smiled and said that he now lost the last woman who he would know for sure ever loved and saw him for him and not for his money or assets. He was too smiling at first, probably relieved that I finally was fine enough to look at him again. He complained to our son that I never looked at him anymore. His smile faltered and turned into a shock. Then he started crying. I was terrified of what I just did and left almost running. I got a text from his girlfriend this morning with many insults about me, my character, and my looks and age, because he was supposed to have proposed on Christmas with all the family present, but he didn't. He now refuses to talk about it with her or any of her family, but she means that it was my fault. I've ruined their relationship. I blocked her, but I can't help but wonder if I really did ruin their relationship. I even wondered if I care. All I know is that he looks so old and pathetic. I wonder if I ever really knew him or loved him. Wow. I aspire to be this common life. You were able to obliterate your husband with a smile and without saying one bad thing. Kudos to you. My husband wants a divorce. How do I tell him I'm pregnant without being manipulative? You just say, hey, I'm pregnant, by the way. Let's sign those papers. So recently, my 32 female, husband 53 male, Jordan, told me he wants a divorce. As a bit of background, my husband was a family friend. And after a bit of messing around, I ended up pregnant with our daughter, 14 female. 14? That means you were 18 and he was 29? No, 39? Ew! 18, 39? Yes, I'm saying you. I don't think age gaps are bad later on in life, but 18 and 39 is predatorial, basically. And you were 18 when your daughter was born. You made it 17 when you were pregnant because you're pregnant for like 10 months. Why am I reading so many of these old men prying on these young, innocent girls? We ended up having a good old shotgun wedding, courtesy of my highly religious family. The topic of families came up afterwards, naturally, and we both made our stances clear. Jordan wants a big family and always has. I'm talking mother, father, 7 children, and a dog type deal. Meanwhile, I wasn't super opposed to the idea of 1, although I felt 7 was a bit much. Anyway, life goes on as we settle into newly married life. He gets a promotion and is working longer hours. We decide I quit my job to start caring for our daughter full time, so we can save more money from our daycare cost. And when she turns 5 and starts kindergarten, we decided to start trying for another child. Well, roughly 2 years into this, with no results, I get cancer. We put the family thing on hold and I opt for treatment. My doctor did warn me that the chemo drugs I was on had a high risk of causing permanent changes to my fertility, but we decided to go through with it anyway. Please don't tell me this man is leaving you because you couldn't have more kids and you had cancer. There was a rather scary period of time where it looked like treatment was making it worse, but I managed to pull through. Shortly after, me and Jordan get back to family planning. Unfortunately, in this time, it very much seemed like the infertility risk hit, as I couldn't keep a pregnancy. The few times I did get pregnant usually ended with a miscarriage, with the one time I made it to full term ending in a stillbirth. Well, after a few months of this, he tells me that he's sick and tired of getting his hopes up only to be let down, and that if I get pregnant, I should just not tell him until I was 3 or 4 months along, since the risk of miscarriage would go down significantly then. I agree and follow this rule. Pause. That is the most shittiest behavior I've ever seen in my life. Imagine telling your wife, like, hey, I'm so tired of you not being able to hold a pregnancy. I'm distraught. I'm emotional, so you can go through those miscarriages alone. So let me know when you could actually carry one, and then we could talk. As of last month, I noticed that Jordan became distant. He takes longer shifts at work. He isn't as intimate with me anymore, and he pretty much ignores our daughter and me completely, while before he always made sure to at least greet and hug her, even if he was running a bit late. And then about a week ago, I get served with divorce papers while he's at work. He refuses to tell me why he wants one and is insistent that it isn't a problem I can fix. The only problem is that I'm pregnant and was planning to tell him the news the literal day I was served since I had passed the 4-month mark. Now, however, I'm worried about how to tell him. I have to disclose that I'm pregnant on the paperwork since that affects possible child support and custody, and I don't want to lie to a judge. But I also want to tell him myself instead of having him to find out through court. My issue is that I'm worried that if I tell him now, it'll look like I'm trying to manipulate him into canceling the divorce and force him to stay with me. But if I wait for it to be mentioned during the divorce, it'll look like I was trying to hide it and trap him into paying more money for a child he wouldn't be aware of. Can anyone help me out on the best way to tell him without it coming off this way? You need to focus all of your energy into your pregnancy, okay? You 1000% let that man find out in court from your lawyer to the judge. Cut off the communication with him. That's his problem. He had no problem giving you divorce papers while he was at work. Make him feel stupid when he goes in the court and he sees like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant. She can have the No. My daughter is pregnant. How do I tell her that our older daughter is actually her biological mother? So I, 53 male, and my wife, 53 female, had our older daughter Sarah, 31 female, when we were 22. We were young and broke, but managed, and now we raised Sarah the best we could. She got pregnant at 15. It was a very depressing time for her. She had to go to therapy and never told us anything about the father, which always upset her, so we never pushed the issue. She originally wanted to terminate, but kept canceling and eventually told us she wanted to give her up for adoption. But 5 months into the pregnancy, when she was discussing with a social worker for a couple to adopt, the couple dropped out of the adoption. After trying to find more couples, Sarah asked us if we wanted to adopt. Rose and I were both 38 at this point, and we both had been discussing having another child. So we ended up adopting our daughter Ellie when Sarah had her at 16. 2 years after Ellie, me and my wife had our son Logan, 13 biologically. Growing up, we always planned to tell Ellie she was adopted, but we knew with telling her that, we had to tell her Sarah was her bio mother. Sarah never became close with Ellie, not even as her sister. She moved out after the birth and lived with my wife's sister. She has always shown sisterly love to Logan, but never towards Ellie. There has always been conflicting feelings with Sarah. I have seen posts on Sarah's Instagram where she posted a picture of what was supposed to be the 5 of us, but Ellie was cut out. I confronted her about this and she says it's too painful. However, a couple of years ago, she showed up drunk, begging us to let her see her daughter. We talked to her and let her stay, but did not let her near Ellie since she was drunk. We found out from her husband that she had suffered several miscarriages and was told to consider a surrogate. She ended up doing that 4 years ago and has since had twins, Jack and Jill. Oh my God. She ended up doing that 4 years ago and has since had twins, Jack and Jill, 3 years old, who are biologically hers. Ellie has loved being an aunt to the twins, and Sarah has encouraged this with Ellie, and has been inviting Ellie over to her house for family time with Logan, who loves being an uncle. We have asked Sarah that in light of the twins and Ellie being close to them, wouldn't it be time to tell Ellie the truth, but Sarah keeps claiming she is not ready. Recently, Ellie came to us and told us that she is pregnant. This time, it is a completely different situation. We have met the father, he is a childhood friend of hers, and they decided they wanted to lose their virginities to each other. Why do I need to know that information? We had the talk with Ellie long ago, as we did with Sarah. We approached the situation calmly and have since met with the father and his parents. Ellie is insistent on keeping the baby. She's 3 months along. We have not told Sarah yet, and we do not know how to approach the situation. We don't know how she'll be able to take it. My wife and I are considering telling Ellie the truth, but we need Sarah to be there. So he has an update. I'm curious to see where this goes. Well, I decided to just focus on helping out Ellie, who is 4 months pregnant. We didn't want to stress her out by telling her about the adoption yet. In fact, we know we should have already told her a long time ago, despite Sarah's emotions on the matter. It's not like we even knew the details on Ellie's father, so that would have been Sarah's talk. But we, as Ellie's parents, still should have told her the truth when she was younger. Ellie told family about the pregnancy. She has since told my parents, her boyfriend's grandparents, and then of course, she told Sarah. Sarah didn't react well, but told her she would support her. Of course, Sarah reached out to us after, very upset, but said she was ready to talk to Ellie. First about the adoption with us, and then said that she wanted to tell Ellie about her father alone. We sat down and had the discussion. Ellie was of course upset, but calmed down after a while. She of course had questions about her father. Sarah had that discussion with her. At the time, I didn't know what was told, and it was none of our business. But Ellie told us she knows who he is and said she didn't want to reach out, so we moved on after that. The other day, I got a call from my sister-in-law Renee, 31 female, my brother's wife. She was angry and was asking what kind of sick idea was Sarah putting in Ellie's head. She started mentioning stuff about Ellie's adoption, so after I got her to calm down, she told me what happened. She claimed that Ellie had messaged my brother Ethan, 32, and told him about the adoption and wanted to talk to him. This confused me because me and Ethan don't talk much. We were never really close because we are 21 years apart. He was my mother's late child and he always got along with mine and our sister's kids as they were all around the same age. Ellie only saw him on the holidays, so telling him about the details in her life didn't make sense. Oh my God, please don't tell me that... What? This became incestual. Renee explained to me that Ellie claimed that Ethan was her father because that is what Sarah had told her, and told him that he was going to be a grandpa. I had to sit down for a while. I called Sarah and we had a long conversation. She told me that yes, it was true that Ethan is Ellie's biological father. Sarah and Ethan were close when we were young, and they were only 8 months apart. Sarah says that when they went through puberty, feelings changed, and that every time she went to her grandmother's, they would hide away from everyone and have their own time. Sarah was upset talking about this, but told me that he never assaulted her and that it was always consensual. She never wanted to tell me because she was ashamed of the fact that the father of her baby was her uncle. Ew, gross! I have since talked to Ethan as well. He denied it to Ellie over text, but told me it was true. We exchanged a few words back and forth. Even if this was consensual, how could he sleep with his own niece? He had all of these reasons, but I wasn't hearing it. He knew of the pregnancy and being Ellie's father the whole time, and he never even bothered to step up to say anything. I have talked to Ellie about it. She says she was upset when she found out, but she always thought she looked like my stepdad's side of the family. It upset me when she mentioned that because honestly, I see it. It's pretty obvious now. I knew that Ellie favored whoever her father was because she didn't look like anyone on our side, but I never suspected Ethan. My mother and stepdad have found out, and Ethan told Renee it was true. She has left with their kids to stay with her family. Ethan has tried to reach out to Ellie now, but I don't want her speaking to him. I'm still her father, and I don't think she is safe being in touch with him. Ellie has shown no interest in talking. I asked her why she reached out to him before talking to Sarah or us about it, and she said that she just wanted to know his side of the story, but feels betrayed for being lied to. Holy moly! Okay, let me explain it to you so people get confused, okay? There's mom and dad. They have a daughter. That daughter sleeps with her dad's half-brother, but it's still her uncle, okay? Is this the dad's half-brother? So this is like, it's still a half-uncle? I don't know, whatever. It's still incestual, okay?